This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
You can't use that word. Only we can use that word.
I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this. What do you think? Well, what do you know?
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT.
And you had show notes. This is why we don't do show prep, man.
AJ.
Chewy, crack a window. The cold air keeps me awake.
Steve.
It's a sign of any good audio podcast is visuals, right?
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we give our immediate reaction to Solo, a Star Wars story, less than an hour after leaving the theater. If you haven't seen the movie, beware, there are a lot of spoilers in this episode.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve, and we are less than an hour removed from leaving the theater from our first viewing of Solo, a Star Wars story.
I want to go back.
Yeah, seriously.
I want to go back.
So, before we get into this, if you have not seen the movie, you might want to turn this off and listen to it after you have, because we will be spoiling everything. So, we are not holding anything back. So, if you haven't seen Solo yet, just turn this off.
I just can't believe they put Luke in such a big role.
Right?
Like, it literally made no sense to put him in the movie that much when it was called Solo.
Yeah, there were some cool. All right, the spoilers are going to begin now, so I'll give you a couple seconds to turn it off because I'm about to give a spoiler immediately.
I did one already.
No, you didn't. No,
they don't know that.
There were some cool cameos, so that was nice to see.
Alec Guinness was a surprise.
Oh, they dug that guy up. I did not know. So yeah, we just came from the theater not even an hour ago. AMC lied to us. They told me that they did not
Lies!
Have any, yes, lies. They told me they didn't have any gold dice. That was another company. No, it wasn't. It was AMC. So give me some damn gold dice. I know you didn't give them all out. So, kind of interesting story before we get into it. Outside the theater, as we were walking in, were Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack from Rebel Force Radio. For some reason, I mean, Jason Swank lives close to us, but he's still, from where we're at, where we saw the movie, he's a good 45 minutes to an hour away. If probably closer to an hour, I would think. So
they heard we were going to be there.
Apparently so. People were trying. The Rebel Force Radio was trying to get a glimpse of the Nerf Herder Council.
We told them we just didn't have time for shows like that.
They're piggybacking off our success.
Look at that. We're now the biggest Star Wars show. But yeah,
Jimmy Mack chased us all the way from Chicago.
I know he did. So that was kind of cool to see. I was like, holy crap! I was just walking in, and AJ goes, "Hey, there's Jimmy Mack and Jason Swank." I was like, what? So I don't know if it was like a contest they had or something, but they were there, so that was kind of interesting.
Jimmy Mack must have lost a bet. That's all I can think.
Yeah, he's coming to Parma, Ohio from Chicago, and Chicago's got that Navy Pier Theater where I saw Thor Ragnarok. That's amazing. I would love to see Solo on that screen. So, all right, so getting into it, first initial reaction, I thought it was great. I did not.
How relieved are you?
Yeah, I really was. I found myself, as soon as it started, I found myself immediately going, okay, well, I was already in the headspace of it's not Harrison Ford, it's not going to be, so just picture that he's Han Solo. Just that's Han Solo now. Just deal with it. And I found it easy to fall into the character that way, and he wasn't that far off. I mean, it was pretty damn good. I mean, the timeline of Solo is 10 years after Attack of the Clones and 10 years before when we meet him in Episode 4, and so you basically have 10 years between this movie and when we see him on Tatooine with Luke and Obi-Wan and stuff like that. So my wife said, well, I didn't like how he played the character because, he was too arrogant and this, that, and the other. I said, yeah, but he's got 10 years to become that crass, like, I hate the world jerk. So we don't know what's going to happen to him. But yeah, I thought it was really fun. Everyone had said of the stuff that I did read, because I actually avoided any reviews, even if it said spoiler free. But everyone said it was just really fun. And I did see a couple people said, I was smiling the whole time. I was like, whatever. I was smiling the whole time. Most of the time, I should say. And I just had a blast. It was fun.
You're right. It didn't take long to get into the character. And I felt the exact opposite that I did from Rogue One. Where I was like, I don't know if it's because I knew the characters, but I didn't have that feeling of not like Kiara and Beckett and stuff. Like, I was able to fall right into those characters, unlike how I felt when I left watching Rogue One. Like, it was real easy to fall into all of these guys in this movie.
You know what's funny about that? I had the opposite. Everybody's talking about Rio Durant. It was such a cool character, and L3 is the greatest new droid, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, when they died, I'm like, nah. Like what everybody said about Rogue One, like
I did feel
that
worse
was me for this movie.
I did feel worse when K2 died than when L3 died in this one, though. So I will give it that.
The droid is the one expendable character. We just know that now.
Great character, but I did feel a lot worse when K2 died in Rogue One, though.
I did too. It's funny because like the characters they seem to like build up a lot weren't really in the movie a lot. I mean, Rio Durant was in there for just a couple minutes, and the same thing. L3 was in there a little bit longer, but I thought it was going to kind of be. I mean, the way they built it up was kind of seeming like the whole crew of characters that you meet were in it for the whole movie, and they're just on one giant heist type of a thing, or at least more than what they were in for how long they were in the movie.
Yeah, but I'm glad they didn't do it that way, because as soon as you phrase it like that, I'm like, that's Rogue One.
Yeah.
Rogue One is let's assemble a big cast and then wipe them all out sequentially through the third act.
Yeah, totally.
This way it just kept it light, and you only had a few characters to follow the whole way through. I like that a lot better.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a really fun movie, and the only part that I was like, was like the end, or almost at the end when they were up in the tower, and it was pretty obvious who was going to double cross who and this, that, and the other. I mean, that part was pretty, you're like, okay, this is, what's going to happen kind of thing. So it wasn't really a surprise, but the other stuff was really cool. The way they wrote in the Kessel Run was really cool. Even when, they said, oh, we have to go to Kessel. You immediately know, oh, sweet, that's okay, so the Kessel Run. But even when they start doing it, you think, okay, he just has to fly real fast through this thing they came in, the path, that got him there. I'll come to find out, no, it's different. And it's not just, oh, I got to fly really fast. There's a whole ton of crap in their way.
And they stayed true to George Lucas's thing of saying it's about distance, not about time. That's why he measures it in parsecs.
Yeah.
And it also might not have been 12. Remember at the end, because Chewie growled at him. He's like, "Not if you round down."
Yep.
So maybe it was 14, and that's why he had a bug up his ass in Episode 7 when Ray brought that up.
Right?
Damn Common Core math.
So yeah, my instant reaction was it was super fun, and I was like rooting the whole time, and I was cheering, and I was just smiling ear to ear, and it was like that's Han Solo, and it was. I wanted a movie where I saw Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon kicking ass, and that's what I got, and it was fun as hell. It was just, it was a really fun movie, and I'm sure people are going to do their whole, the political undertones of, the lower class being
of course.
And it's like, whatever, man. Like, if you want to look into the other Star Wars movies like that, fine. But this one, really, they just made it as a fanboy service vehicle, and it was cool as hell.
My wife barely got onto Facebook saying how much she loved the movie, and instantly somebody was like, I don't know, because Disney's just oversaturating. And I'm like, really? The movie's been out for 5 minutes. Like, and there's people crapping on it already, and it's not even about the movie. Like, you just want to... People just love to bitch about whatever anymore. And so, especially with Star Wars, and it's so... awful sometimes.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the damn movie. It was awesome. Just shut up and enjoy it for a little bit, please.
Right. What really allowed me to get into it was because pretty much every location was new. It was only stuff you'd heard about and never seen. And there really wasn't a whole lot of Empire in it, so it was really easy to just get into it on its own merit.
Which was surprising, too, because of the trailers making it, with him joining the Empire. I actually thought it was going to play a way bigger role in the movie than it did. It was surprising. And that's good marketing on their part, honestly.
Yeah, but I think they did a great job staying away from familiar locations and whatnot, so it was easy to just get in. Like, I was talking it over with my girlfriend, and she said the same thing that I thought, which was... I was just into it on its own merits as a movie. I was just having fun with it like a heist movie should do for you. The more I tried to connect it to Star Wars was the less fun I had with it. When I just was sitting in my chair watching a good movie, and then occasionally they'd drop in something that would totally tie it back to something Star Wars, then I was like, oh, that's really cool. Yeah. It was just like sugar on top.
Right.
Yeah, it did do a really good job of making you forget that you were watching Star Wars at some point. Right. At multiple points, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, like you said, it's just a good, fun heist movie. But it does slightly tie into, this greater overarching story that they're telling. I mean, I honestly didn't think they would do that. I thought this was just going to be a completely standalone. Here's Han Solo doing the Kessel Run, getting the Millennium Falcon, meeting Chewbacca. Yay, everybody cheered. And we'll worry about telling the actual story of, how the rebellion started and stuff after Return of the Jedi later. But they even tied a little bit of that stuff into this because, at the end with none of us can remember what the stuff is called. It was called the hyperfuel, but the blue crap they were trying to steal, cranium or citranium or whatever the heck it is. I forget at this point. But,
sure.
I'll remember after the second viewing. But, even at the end, she's like, do you know what this represents? And he's like, yeah, about 60 million credits. And she's like, no, the birth of a rebellion. I'm like, oh, so basically what they did is just steal all the money that starts the Rebel Alliance. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool, And then, the ultimate cameo, I've
only been saying it for years. I'm like, give Sam Witwer a damn speaking role in a Star Wars movie already. The guy deserves it.
And he got it. And so they brought back Maul. So now Maul is alive and well in the live action stuff. So, that was pretty cool. And it was as soon as it was interesting. I read an article in our local newspaper on their website.
The first thing I thought of was, where's his spider legs?
Right. Yeah, I was like, I'd read an article on the internet from our local paper that said, where does Solo fall into the timeline of Star Wars? I was like, I'd like to know that. That's not spoiling anything. So I read it, and it says it's 10 years after Attack of the Clones, 10 years before Rogue One, like we said. And at the end, it says it still doesn't explain the appearance at the end of the movie of a certain prequel-era character. I'm like, damn it. I want to be surprised by that. Like, no one said a word about Tarkin being in Rogue One. And when you turned around at the first time, you're like, holy crap, Grand Moff Tarkin's in this movie? Like, that was cool. Mm-hmm. But the whole time, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, okay, who's going to be in the movie? And then it was so close to the end of the movie, and I was like, well, they haven't shown anybody except for Warwick Davis. And they had already said that his part in the movie, his name is Weasel, and he was actually playing the guy that was in Jabba's little... cadre. Cadre in Phantom Menace. So okay, I'm like, don't even tell me that they're saying that the prequel character that shows
Yeah, you're
up
not
is
going to give them that
frickin'
much
Weasel.
credit to know that.
Yeah, I was like, what? Is that going to be the only thing? And then they showed like the hologram from behind, and it was, you know, the metal legs and the hood, and I was like, all right. I'm like, who? This is,
You know,
be
just
them.
because I had no spoilers whatsoever going for me, I was like, I was lost for 10 seconds during that part.
Yeah, I
Because
was
like just sitting there and I saw the metal legs, and I'm like, okay, like
At
where
first
the
I
hell
thought
are they going
Grievous.
with this?
For some reason, I was like, is that Grievous? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm thinking prequels.
Like, because I knew she was gonna like double cross the whole thing. That was kind of thrown out there already. But then that hologram, I'm just like, I don't recognize the voice. I'm like, I see metal legs and a hood. What the hell are they doing here?
Yeah, it's when the voice, after a few seconds of the voice, I was like, oh my God, that's Darth friggin' Maul. Like, they brought Maul back, like Clone
You know,
Wars
I
Maul
was too busy trying to figure it out. I honestly didn't even put the voice to it.
And I thought that we were just going to get like a behind the back shot, you know, like an implication, but not a straight up hood comes down and here's Ray Park.
Yeah.
Like, that was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
That was amazing.
That was my OMG moment of the film. Totally.
They're really doing well at bringing those types of characters in. I mean, there was the thing that was released today that somebody found audition footage of someone auditioning for Grand Admiral Thrawn, like live action, like painted blue and like delivering lines, like, and so people are speculating it's for the Jon Favreau live action because it happens what it was like 7 years after Return of the Jedi or something like that. Or
Yeah.
something like that. So anyway, yeah, so, you know, Thrawn is in Rebels, and now supposedly there's live action footage of him. They brought Maul back. So, I mean, the story group is really tying all these things together, and they're really kind of paying attention to what the fans want. I mean, you know, people complained about Maul dying too quickly in Phantom Menace, so they brought him back in Clone Wars, and, you know, they brought him back in Rebels. Now they're putting him in live action. So, which is cool.
That was probably the biggest spin of the movie, and that's the fact that for something that was supposed to be standalone, like you said, it's completely open to making another movie.
Yeah. I mean,
Easily something like we are supposed to get 24 more movies before Disney's done milking this cow. So I mean,
yeah,
we might get a Solo 2 that's 5 years before Episode 4 or something. Who the hell knows?
I tell you, after this, I would totally watch another Solo movie.
It's totally open to it. The whole ending of the movie left it open to that. So they could easily do hell. I mean, it's still just rumors about the last standalone or the last anthology movie being Kenobi, right? So I mean, it could just be another Solo movie.
Yeah, I mean, well, he signed on for a total of 3, so you know they haven't announced anything, but they're probably waiting to see how people react to this one. But I thought I would go watch another one of these.
Easily.
Like I said, I mean, the way they did stuff was so cool. Like, you know, when he you know, does the whole game of Sabacc type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I even really liked the whole, I mean, all the little Easter eggs, like he's like, you know, when Billy D. Williams, for some reason in Empire, has pronounced it Han.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, he's like, what's up, Han? And he goes, Han. Like, they even put that in there. Like, and, you know, the Sabacc.
I was surprised by the last name thing. I'm sure that's probably been in books or something, but just the fact that I'm like, okay, now it's right there on screen because I don't bother reading all the books, any of the books. And I'm like, okay, so Solo's not even his name. I'm like, who knew?
I thought it would have been great if his name at the beginning was Hans Olo, and the reason his name is Han Solo is because when he signs up for the Empire, the guy just doesn't give a damn and he writes it down wrong. He thought he said Han Solo, but it's actually Hans Olo. And then he looks at his thing, his sign-up card. He's like, whatever, Han Solo.
You know, they still walked a fine line though, and I love it that you know. We were speculating beforehand. We're like, oh, we hear, you know, one of the things this movie is we hear how he got his name. Like Han Solo might not even be his real name. It's like we're like, oh, what is it, like a code name or something, like a moniker that he adopts, or
right?
No, his name is Han. And then they made up it's like a half and half. It's a perfect service of like, okay, we're going to give you the story, but we're not going to do it either way.
Yeah.
So everybody gets to be wrong.
Yeah. They like I say, this movie's like a total fan service movie.
Now you look
cool,
at episode 7 and 8 and you're like, what's Kylo's real name? It could be Swolo.
Yeah. His name was actually just Kylo. And they're like, what's your last name? And he's like, and the guy's looking around, he sees a bird, and he's like, is that a wren? Yeah, all right, you're Kylo Ren. Like, they do it the same way. Like, but, yeah, I mean, like, there was so much fan service stuff in this, and they gave a good backstory to a lot of the stuff you wanted to see, and certain things, like, you know, with the DL-44, he just gets it handed to him, so they didn't go into some big thing about how he gets the DL-44. They didn't go into some big deal about why
Becca just broke down a sniper rifle and gave it to him.
Exactly. Like they didn't say, okay, every single thing has to have this big majestic story behind it. Sometimes like the DL-44 just got it chucked at him. Like, here, you need a gun. There you go, you got a gun. Like, okay, you know. But stuff like I said with the Kessel Run and they're even doing fan service for the people that are fans of the EU. Because they didn't really do the life debt thing, but he did kind of rescue Chewbacca, and then they did free a bunch of Wookiees from off Kessel. Mm-hmm. You know, they rescued them out of slavery, so they did that. You know, it was cool. I mean, there's something for everybody in the movie. It was just really fun.
I think they did a great job of, you know, hitting the points they needed to. But doing it in a clever way, so it was entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And anything that could have been a little bit dicey to pin down too much, they just didn't bother with, like the life debt thing. They didn't say he doesn't have a life debt.
Yeah.
But they didn't say he does either. It's like, hey, you know, they're pals now. They've been through a bunch and they stick together. Yep. Okay, good enough.
Yep. Was I the only one when they're like, yeah, feed the beast? I kept hoping for and thinking a Rancor was going to come out.
That was my first instinct,
like,
honestly.
are they going to have a Rancor in this movie?
I was actually really surprised that it wasn't just some new beast, because every movie so far has had some new big beast. We had the Rathtar, then we got what did Last Jedi have? Last Jedi had one too.
It's always a tentacle monster.
The space cow.
Yeah, we had the space cow, but what was it? We talked about this.
Well, I mean, this one had the giant monster,
the super giant Rathtar.
Yeah, basically
whatever the hell that was. That took like 8 seconds to kill, but
at least it was a cool way to do it.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a hyperspace whale.
Oh, thank God! I would have loved to see those bastards like fly into that stupid hole. Oh my God!
But that was another kind of callback moment, wasn't it? That was basically the sub underwater in episode 1, where sinking and no power. What are you thinking? We say in trouble. and then turn the lights on, and then there's the eyeball right there. Yeah, like that is so perfect.
Yep. There was so much of that. Like I said, the stormtroopers going, move along. The way
it was like 60 seconds in, we had at least a variation of a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, I mean everything that. I mean, like I was telling AJ before you got here, Steve, I was saying I need to see it again just to write down all the little Easter eggs, because like at every turn you're like, oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that. Like they were just like kind of like nudging you in the ribs, like, yeah, hey, how about like, and it was subtle enough to where you're like, okay, like you got it, but it wasn't like a slap in the face. I didn't think.
Yeah, and as I said, it's like Force Awakens, like bludgeoned you in the face with it, like. Hey, remember this? Remember this callback? Remember that training droid that was in the Millennium Falcon? Well, Finn's going to hold it right in front of the camera for you. And, like that kind of crap. This was just like all these things that were semi-familiar.
It's Family Guy with the guy with the wallet at the kids, and he was just slapping the guy in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This took all of that, but it did it in like a normal way of being like, hey, you know what you're looking at, so we're just going to put it up here for you.
See, that's why I was laughing, like, because in Rogue One, when they have the blue milk right in the center of the screen in the opening sequence.
Yeah, I missed it the first time.
You missed it. I'm like, how did you not see that? It's right there. Like, but you got everything.
Because I'm always looking around the edges of the frame. I totally am. Sorry.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm so glad that I went in with no expectations. Like, I mean, I wasn't even you know, this is crazy to say, but I wasn't even like insanely pumped up to go see a new Star Wars movie because I was so nervous about it. I was just like, okay, this is either going to be terrible or it's going to be amazing. And I was just fighting myself the whole time that this has been, since it's been announced, and especially with all the director problems and everything, I was like, I was just nervous. Like, please don't suck. Please don't suck. And I just basically was talking myself into letting go of that and just having a good time watching a Star Wars movie. And that's exactly what happened. And I thought they did a great job with the character. Anybody who's a fan of Chewbacca will love it. That was really cool how they met. You could see, you know,
the advertisement of the main bad guy was kind of a spin, which was a good thing.
Yeah, I thought I really liked that. That was cool, where the bad guy actually turns out to be a good guy type of thing. That was interesting. I knew Memphis Nest was female.
We knew that.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know she was like 14.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was crazy.
She's also the 23andMe chick.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, there's a commercial for like genetic testing, and it has this chick who looks like she's like 14 different races at once, and yeah, she's a total mutt.
I have no idea.
Anyway, all right, fine. That joke didn't go over. Sorry, guys. But
that's just me being ignorant of current.
No, Emphasis was badass. Did you see that one of the two tubes was in her crew?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I don't know if that was Edrio or with the other one. I always forget.
It was the other one, apparently.
Is it? Is it the other one, the brother?
It was listed somewhere, but
okay.
I forget his name.
Yeah, because they all started demasking, and I'm like, ooh. I couldn't put the name to it. I was like, I know that guy. And I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah, so there, like I said, there were just so many little callbacks. Mm-hmm. And again, like they did with Rogue One, they take a story where you know how it ends. Like, you know Han doesn't die, but you know he gets the Falcon. You know he makes the Kessel Run. You know he meets Chewbacca. And they played it all out in an interesting way. Mm-hmm. You know, I was so annoyed at first when they go into the game of Sabacc. Because he sits down, he starts BSing about the ship, and then Lando just offers up the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, I bet my ship. I'm like, that's so stupid. And then Han Solo wins, or so you think. And I'm like, that's it? That's what they did?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, that's kind of a letdown that's how he got the Falcon.
I was so bummed out. I'm like, that's all? And then, you know, he says, but you can't beat a full Sabacc. And then, okay, Lando won. And then they show how he won. Mm-hmm. He cheated. So you're like, all right, well, that's pretty cool. So that was, they saved that. And then, of course, at the end, they had him playing Sabacc again. And then Han stole his cheating card from him.
Yep.
And again, another callback. When he wins, he's like, hey, fair and square.
Yep.
Fair and square.
Yep.
So it explains like, hey, I won it from you fair and square in Empire. It's like that, and that's what I'm saying. Like little things like it's obvious, but it made the movie cool. Like This movie was written for us.
And honestly, Donald Glover did a great job with Lando too.
He did a great job.
He said between like Chewie's easy. You could throw anybody in the suit and make them growl, but it was like Han and Lando was like, oh god, this is gonna be tough to do, and they both pulled it off amazing. And they did a great job with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Chewie, I mean, you say it's easy, but Jonas Suatomo, I think that's how you pronounce it. Like, he talked about how he went to quote unquote Wookiee school and he got together with Peter Mayhew a bunch of times to ask him like how Chewbacca walks. And, you know, Peter Mayhew said, okay, well, he would do this, he would do that. Like actually told him how he played the character so that he looked the same. You know, he didn't want people to feel like it was a different guy in the suit. They wanted to feel like it was just Chewbacca. Mm-hmm. And it really felt like it too. I mean, it was great.
They're doing so much more with Chewbacca too. Like,
which is
I was
good.
I was impressed with Force Awakens because we saw that he has fingers. I thought that was like a real, a milestone for Chewbacca just to see his hands. And then, you know, since then we've gotten him. He's been wet. He got like wind in his face, and he was covered in mud.
Yep. Wore goggles.
Yeah, and we actually saw him running in this. Like, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, Chewbacca feels like a fully realized character instead of like just some dude in a fragile fursuit that you can't do anything with.
Yeah, it's kind of like R2 and 3PO in the prequels. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people don't like 3PO, but you know, in the prequels they kind of did a lot more with R2-D2. Because they basically, realized that, okay, people really dig this character, so let's throw him in there. Let's show some more of it. Like, let's flesh this out. And they're kind of doing that now in the sequel trilogy, in the standalone solo movie with Chewbacca.
I would like to see them record some new dialogue for him, though. They are still remixing Ben Burt samples.
That's fine with me.
God, like, doesn't Matt Wood know how that was made? Like, it's in the documentary, like, what sounds he took, and get some new ones. It's like R2. We know those sound bites so well that when they remix them, we can hear all of it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you mess with it and try and redo it, it's like, when they were like, yeah, everyone likes the puppet Yoda, so in episode 1, we're going to make a puppet Yoda. Guys, maybe let's not do that. The Chewie sounds and the R2 sounds and stuff, I mean, they're just so iconic that it's like, if you try to redo it, it might, I mean, for all we know, they tried, and it just sounds so different, that it...
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with it. You could tell it was the old stuff, but at the same time, like you said, they're trying to make it seem like it's the same Chewbacca we've known and loved for all these years, so... Yeah. Why not just remaster the old clips and reuse them? Who cares, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, I agree with you, AJ. I think what they're doing with Chewbacca is awesome, because he's one of those characters, I think, that you kind of... I mean, obviously your daughter wouldn't agree with this, Steve, because that's her favorite, but he's one of those characters you didn't realize how much you really loved him until you see a lot more of him, and you're like, oh man, Chewbacca really,
he was always a great secondary character.
Yeah.
And lately it's just like he's pushed his way to the forefront, and you're like, hey, yeah, he's way cooler than I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly how I see it too. I'm just like, man, he's so much cooler than I. So. Yeah, I love that. Like I said, the callbacks were cool. I mean, like we said, immediately with the Stormtrooper going, move along. And all these different things that they throw in there. Like I said, this movie was obviously written for us. I mean, if you were to tell me that they wrote this after The Last Jedi had come out, and it was a reaction to people, the vocal minority on the internet just crapping on The Last Jedi about how it changed so many things, I would have believed you that this was written after all that, because it was one of those things like, hey, fans, here's all this crap you heard about, and now we're just going to show it to you. Like, all the stuff you always wanted to see. But again, I thought they did it in such a way where it wasn't like smacking you across the face. It was blended into the story, and while they were obvious for those of us that know what we're listening to or watching, it was still it just didn't feel like it was obvious and pandering. It was just funny and cool to see this stuff, I thought.
They've done an amazing job of still straddling that line of producing satisfying movies on their own, but that have so much depth and so many layers that tie into the larger universe if you know what you're looking at.
Yeah. Like I said, I noticed a million things, and when I go see it next time, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I will definitely enjoy the second viewing more, because I think I did spend too much time trying to find all that stuff. Like, just initially when that the protocol droid got hit by the car at the beginning, like, I was just like waiting for some random 3PO appearance during the movie or
right.
or something, or they went up on the big yacht and you're waiting to see R2 with a drink cart on his head or something. Like, I know I spent too much time trying to find like the tie-ins instead of enjoying everything I should have been doing. So to a fault, I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say I did it the whole movie, but there was points that I just felt like it was coming, and then I would start trying to pay attention to crap that wasn't there.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of have a similar experience. It's not that I'm really waiting for stuff, but I kind of get in this mode, I've realized, with when these movies come out, that I'm watching it going, oh my God, that was so awesome. Like, this is so cool. And then I miss stuff. Like when Maul was on screen, I was in that mindset of, oh my God, that's so cool. It's Darth Maul. Wait a minute. What did he say?
Yeah.
Like
I do not know what the hell he said.
I was completely focused on that scene, and yet at the same time, none of it was sinking in.
Yeah. I mean, it's
all I know is Kiera stuck the Green Lantern ring into the thing, and then Darth
Green
Maul
Lantern
popped
thing.
up, and I don't recall anything other than him saying that him and Kiera need to work together a little closer. And I'm like, okay, so he wants to bang her too.
I don't think he can. He doesn't have that part down there anymore.
Well, you know, he was rebuilt in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
Well, according to L3, it can happen.
Yeah,
it works.
I
It
don't-
works.
they went right up against that line in this movie,
Yeah.
and thankfully did not cross it. The way
Yeah,
they brought
after
it up,
what we
like,
talked about on the last episode, when
Yeah.
Kara was like, so how does that work? And she's like, it works.
Yeah, I was like, thank God they didn't go any further. It's just basically they made it look like Kira's like talking to this droid, thinking, "You dumb droid!" Like the droid's sentient and thinks that Lando likes her or has feelings, and it's like it was done in such a way where you're like, "Oh, that droid just thinks she's all that," and it's like, "Ah, dumb droid." Instead of, "You, are they really going to have like a droid human love affair? Like that's horrendous."
Yeah, the last time I heard that storyline was on Futurama. That was Bender and Amy Wong hooking up, and you got Robo Fever, boy. I did not need that in my Star Wars. So
yeah,
whatever implication was going on there about like what L3 knew about what worked and what didn't.
And that was like the second time too, because something earlier happened that L3 looked at Lando and said like, "Oh, you're gonna have to do that thing again." And
yeah,
he looked like upset. He's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna have to stick it in the robot again."
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, thankfully they glossed over that quickly enough to where it's like, what did he? Okay, I'll move past it. They didn't make it like overly obvious.
Yeah, they had two Lando robot screw jokes just hidden right into the middle of this movie.
Right?
I saw some article where apparently Donald Glover had to answer the question of Lando's sexuality, and I'm just like, oh God, do we really need to know?
Why?
Right, like that's man.
Why do people
Because
ask
it's
those questions?
2018 and people are stupid.
AJ and I were talking today, and one of the episodes we'd like to do is talking about the state of the fandom and everything, and the vocal minority and that kind of thing. And it's just one of those things we'll talk about. Like, why do you have to ask a question like that? Like, who gives a damn?
This is
Like,
one of the
it's
problems.
not important.
This is one of the problems you run up against when you're doing these stories, though, is the more details you flesh in and the more you pin down these characters, as soon as you have concrete details, then you're going to create a backlash of people that don't like those details. That's the same problem that Rogue One had. It's the same problem that this movie's going to have. The Kenobi movie, whenever that happens, because let's face it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to have its own problems, too, for the exact same reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Getting back to Solo, because we'll save that because I don't want to bring the show down with that.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying that, like, yeah, the details they put in for Lando and L3, like, I personally not really a fan of L3.
Yeah,
I was kind of happy to see her die, actually.
it was cool. Like, I mean, the character was cool because it was a new twist on a droid again. But by the same token, everyone in the reviews like, "Oh, L3 is great. L3 is phenomenal," and I was like, all right, I mean, she's okay. She's just kind of a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like she's just
She was a super smart ass female K2SO,
yeah, and
which isn't a bad thing, but
she just seemed too close to this new school like social justice warrior for me. So I was like,
I was getting that vibe too.
yeah, it reminded me of these assholes online that I just want to be like, just go fall off a cliff, will you?
Mm-hmm.
So then they offed her. I was like, all right, good. I don't got to listen to that crap the rest of the movie. Like, okay.
And yet in doing so, they explain where, like, that line where C-3PO says that the computer on the Millennium Falcon has the most peculiar personality.
Yeah.
Like,
There
you go.
Yeah, thank you, because I was wondering how that tied in, because I knew it had to somewhere. And he has the most peculiar dialect or whatever like that. Yeah, I don't know where your ship learned to communicate. So yeah, it explained. There's another one. I couldn't put my finger on it at the time, but
So we now know that the Millennium Falcon is just as much of a smartass as Han is.
exactly. There you go. Think about this. This is gonna. Oh, great! Now this is gonna be something we're gonna have on the internet. Now I can see the next boycott for Star Wars because Lando said now she's part of the ship. So basically, the Millennium Falcon is L3. So the Millennium Falcon is female, And if you notice in the original trilogy, when the Falcon doesn't work, what does Han do? Punch it. Hits it. So basically, Han's beating a woman in the original trilogy. You know people are going to bring that up now. Yeah. And I wish I was joking, but I can actually see people doing that. It's like, it's so terrible.
All right, we need another sound clip that's just going to be hashtag 2018.
Yeah, we do.
Every time something ignorant pops up, I can just play that sounder and go, "That's the answer right there."
Oh yeah, we do.
It's because of 2018. That's
we got to get on that. We since we can't use Porg Watch anymore, we need hashtag 2018. Like we'll do that, but yeah, that was.
Why do they question his sexuality? 2018. Why are they bitching that Han Solo punched the Millennium Falcon in 1977? 2018.
Yeah, right. So, two observations that I had. Number one, I think now it's 2 movies in a row that show that with these standalone stories, I think we can pretty much trust them because if you can pull off a Han Solo movie and make it good and not ruin Han Solo, you can pretty much do anything. And I personally think Rogue One I think it's my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time. So there's that. And I mean, what do you guys think about that? I think both of these standalone. I mean, I prefer Rogue One, but this one is still awesome. I mean, what do you guys think?
I will put it above Rogue One personally. Well, like I said, that's always just because to this day, I still stand behind the fact that I cannot connect with any of the characters in Rogue One.
I thought the Vader scene alone puts Rogue One near the top of the stack for you.
Surprisingly, no.
Wow.
That is probably the best scene in all the Star Wars movies, but I would still put the Solo movie above that, I think.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, it's not by leaps and bounds or anything. Like I said, it's the advertisement, it's the main characters, and I just could not get behind Jin and the other numbnut, the fake Han Solo that I can't think of his name, Cassian. Yeah, like I just see that tells you right there how much I cared. Like I could not get on board with those two for some reason, and it still just slightly affects that movie for me.
By the way, real quick non sequitur, but kind of not really. Was I the only one when the Venom trailer came on tonight, and when Riz Ahmed came on the screen as the bad guy? Was I the only one that went, Bodhi Rook, cargo pilot?
I didn't even know he was in it, man. That's all you. I missed that entirely.
Yeah. People are like, what the hell?
You know the way trailers work ahead of Star Wars movies, though. They piss us off.
Yeah.
We're there for Star Wars.
Well, no, the Venom trailer was badass. I can't wait to see that movie. But
yeah, I've seen that one, but I was more impressed with the stupid Bohemian Rhapsody one. I'm like, I kind of want to see that movie.
I do not like Queen, but I'm still going to see that movie. I mean, I love music biopics, but that one actually looks really cool.
I know. I'm just like, wow. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to pay to see that in theaters, but I really want to see that movie now.
Right. Well, that brings me to my second point that I was going to make. I think at this point, watching Star Wars trailers and TV spots and everything is basically pretty much worthless.
It's just eye candy, man.
Yeah, they don't tell you anything. I mean, the way that I thought this was supposed to go based on how much they pumped up the lines, getting a crew together. Like, okay, so, the way that they made it sound and the way they pimped out characters like Rio Durant and L3 and even, they showed Val to some point, to some extent. It's like, okay, so you figure these are like big time players in the story, and they really weren't. And it's been this way with Force Awakens. It was that way with The Last Jedi and Rogue One, and I mean I would say to people that don't watch the trailers or the TV spots or the behind the scenes because I don't want anything ruined. You're safe because they ain't gonna tell you anything.
Yeah,
I mean they're gonna tell you dick.
So what? I know you said you went in with no expectations, but you did go in with at least some ideas of what you were going to see based on the trailers and whatnot. Uh-huh. So, like, what was the biggest surprise for you in the movie? What didn't go the way you thought it would?
That's a good question. Because I mean, I really had no expectations. Honestly, the surprise to me was how, at the end, like I say, in the tower, it was pretty predictable. That was kind of surprising to me. They kind of fell back on the common, who's going to double cross who type of a thing. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I knew exactly, like, okay, Beckett's going to turn out to be, the dick, and then, he's going to run off, and, Dryden Voss is going to have to, and then, Kira's going to screw over Han because, it's like, okay, so I knew all that. I was kind of surprised that they kind of made it that cliche after, throwing us for a loop on so many other things, at least a little bit. So, one thing that I was surprised at was I wasn't sure how they were going to have the part between the mandibles on the Falcon, how they were going to explain how they got rid of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, and then we said escape pod. I started thinking, okay, is one of the characters going to just like in the middle of the battle be like, F you, I'm out? And then like, because they
have a turncoat or something.
Yeah, like
So I didn't think that, but I thought for sure like Beckett was just going to take off in that thing at some point or something.
Yeah, I did too.
Just,
like they thought like the whole ship's going to blow up, all we're screwed. So he, save their own skin and get the heck out of there.
Yeah,
because I was like, okay, obviously Beckett, Kira, like we don't know those guys past this movie. I'm like, maybe they bounce out on that thing or something. And
yeah.
Though I was extremely happy to watch him launch that thing into the space hole, and I'm like, hey, it's the real Falcon.
Yeah,
Yay.
I know, right? I gotta say, and I knew it was coming, and I knew it was all over the movie, but God, I just will never get over how awesome the Millennium Falcon is. It's like every time I see Eddie Van Halen's guitar, the Frankostrat, and every time I see the Millennium Falcon, I'm like, yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, over the years, that poor gunner position on the bottom of that ship has taken a hell of a beating, hasn't it?
Have you noticed these are
always
gags now? The dish always gets lost,
Exactly.
and the gun always gets busted.
Yeah. I was half expecting when the dish got banged off for somebody to go, I think we're gonna have to get another one of those, like mention it or something. That was kind of cool. Yeah, just seeing the Falcon, like I knew I was gonna see it. I knew it was gonna be flying around kicking ass. But it's just, man, something about that ship is always, like I said, that and Eddie Van Halen's guitar are the two coolest things I've ever seen in my life, and I'm not exaggerating.
And they always find new ways to do stuff with it. Like,
yeah.
With the one little PP gun, no top turret, only the bottom turret.
Yep.
And they lose that. Now I'm like, okay, they got no weapons. What the hell are they going to do? Because we saw the one clip of him like bouncing the TIE fighter into the rock.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that was one of the best sound effects ever. That was like an empty can.
Yeah.
Boink. That was awesome.
All right.
But that whole like skidding and using the landing gear and putting shards of rock through the cockpit of the TIE fighter.
Yep.
That was incredible.
Yep.
That was so cool and original.
Yeah.
I love that they're still finding new things to do with that ship. That's just blows my mind.
I agree. And like you said, Steve, like you wondered how they were going to make it like the piece of crap that we knew.
Right.
And then they actually made it a bigger piece of crap.
That was, yeah.
It's all torn up and you're like, okay. So, and then, it's funny. It's like, they crash land on, what planet was it they crash land? I forget if they said.
They did.
At the end of the movie, whatever planet it was, but they
I'll have the visual dictionary soon. And
I know,
let you know.
They've already announced what the name of the planet is, and I just forget what it is off the top of my head. But yeah, so it's like they crash land, and then they show the Falcon, and it's all ripped up and everything. And I started at the end of after we saw the movie, I was walking out. I was like, okay, and I'm thinking Han going, I made a lot of special modifications myself, and I'm thinking, he must not have done a very good job smuggling because. First of all, he gave up like 60 million credits to enter his nest, and all he came out with was that crappy little tiny rock. So if that's all the money he had, all he could do is go to the intergalactic pick-apart to get the... it's not like he put it back to how it was. He just got like the crappiest he could and just stuck it on there. I mean, it's like... I'm surprised you don't see Bondo on the goddamn thing. So basically the reason it's so dumpy is because he's got no effing money.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Okay. That's
also a callback, though. Also a callback. He couldn't just take the reward money in episode 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and people.
I made modifications myself, and then you just see the scene of him dragging it across the bottom of that ravine, throwing the rocks everywhere.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. They had a bunch of the panels ripped off, and it looked crappier than we're used to seeing it. So it explains why it looks dumpy and beat up when we see it, because he had to repair it.
And I actually like that, because I'm thinking, like, if he loves this ship so much, why did he let it get so beat up over time?
Yeah.
And the real story is he let it get really beat to hell the first time, and he's been fixing it ever since.
Yeah, he's trying to. It still doesn't explain the interior. Like, the interior just is the opposite. You know,
oh, God, yeah.
He's got this nice cape room and a wet bar and, you know, a bed and a guest bunk and all this. And he just doesn't give a crap. It's like
all the Purell in the world would not sanitize that place.
In the sequels, that's what we're going to see is why the interior gets all junked up, you know. Like we said, the chain smoking could be part of it. Like, he just never cleans. He's too busy fixing the outside because he effed it all up. But, yeah, I mean, overall, I just thought it was just so cool to see that character on screen and have it not ruin the mystique of Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that was the biggest thing. I was just like, even the first moment of the movie when he's on the screen, I'm like, here we go. It was like, this could ruin this entire thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you take yourself out of, oh, that's not Han Solo, because when I remember when they first cast him and I saw a picture, I was like, he doesn't look like that. No. And I was all pissed off about it. And of course, you have to suspend disbelief, because, you know, we're used to 40 years of the same Han Solo. It's going to be different. And if you can just accept that, then I think you'll have a good time with it, because I did. Mm-hmm. And I'm the biggest Han Solo fan there is. And, you know, and granted, it took me 2 years to force myself to get over that.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, but I did it. And like I say, it's I love that they, again, have come up with something different. I mean, it does feel like a Western. It does feel like a heist movie. And it's it's the lightest of all the Star Wars movies. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat because there's tons of action. So you're always on the edge of your seat with stuff that's going on. Mm-hmm. But it's the lightest movie. It's just there for fun. It's a popcorn flick, man. It's a summer blockbuster. It's just there to enjoy. There's no, you know, deeper meaning of the Force and, you know, good versus evil and stuff like in The Last Jedi and everything, which I love all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love it.
Yeah.
But it was nice to just sit down and just watch Han and Chewie, you know, whooping ass. That was fun.
I think they were super smart to do it that way, because when you base a movie around characters that everybody knows survives, you have that pressure instantly taken off. You know, like, you know your main characters are going to survive, so let's not even bother trying to introduce too much drama to their fate in this, because you already know. So as soon as that conceit is made, they're like, well, let's just make the most fun movie we can, because we're not going to make the most intense, dramatic, you know, edge-of-your-seat cliffhanger movie.
Yeah. But it was still cool, because, you know, when they're on the conveyax and, you know, like Han has to unclip himself to not get, you know, crushed by that big passing metal, whatever. I forget at this point because it's getting late, but you know, you're thinking, okay, now he's not connected to the train, so if he falls, he's basically, you know, Bucky Barnes, like he's screwed. So, you know, when the whole thing, like, it blew the bridge up and the whole thing's falling and Chewbacca has to unclip it at the last second so they get away with the car and stuff like that. Like, it was cool. I mean, it was just enough on the edge of your seat where you're like, like there's tension, even though you know they're not going to die.
Also a good example of restraint, though, because they totally could have had the train fall, and then they got to save him while the car's falling to its death.
I thought the same exact thing. It was good that they didn't do it. It was just enough. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think that's kind of like a theme of the movie. They did just enough without going over into it being campy or eye-rolling or just, you know, too blunt and direct. I thought it was really cool how they did not do all that stuff.
Yep.
And
they kept it just grounded enough in familiar stuff. Like, we got a Star Destroyer and some TIE fighters and some Empire. But otherwise, this is basically the closest thing to a Star Wars book as we've seen on screen.
I would agree with that. That's a good point.
It was totally like all the goofy aliens and the stuff going on. I'm like, this is exactly what a book would look like if they ever put it to film,
Yeah.
which was perfect. And then even the Empire stuff that they put in there looked similar, but also different. Like they still twisted things a little bit. You know, we got the new Stormtrooper, the Mimban Stormtrooper, where it's got the extra gear and the cape, and we got the Mud Trooper that Han was dressed up as when he was actually, you know, enrolled in the Imperial Navy. And then surprise for me was that the Pimp Troopers just kind of came and went. They didn't make a big deal out of it.
Right.
They didn't call them out. That's the thing, is like Star Wars is so good. Like they show us these crazy, awesome new designs or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, they're going to be so huge in the movie. And then they get like 30 seconds of screen time and they're gone.
Yeah. Well, and one thing, and unless I saw this and it just kind of like my head made this up, you had mentioned when those things were first announced, AJ, about the boots and how the 501st is going to be like, oh man, they're going to hate those boots. Well, now we find out the boots have lights in them.
Yep.
Because it was like, what was it? Like, it was either, it's red and blue, and I forget if it's like, red is when they're magnetized and they're sticking to stuff, and then they have to, if they want to take steps, like they have to demagnetize them, that's like the blue. Like, I'm like, these poor 501st dudes, man, now they have to have boots with lights in them. Like,
for those guys, that's going to be so easy. That's just a pressure sensor.
Well, whatever.
Pressure switch is going to flip from red to blue, no problem.
Well, whatever it is, it's still, you know, it's a whole step forward, but, you know, yeah, I just thought it was cool because like the different movies they're making feel so different from each other, and it's really cool, man, because it's like when you go into these movies now, like you really don't know what to expect because you don't know what kind of feel you're going to get, and you may know what the story is, like, you know, in Solo, you know what you're getting,
right?
But you don't know what kind of vibe it's going to be, and it's totally different from Rogue One, and both the standalone films have a different feel from the saga films. And I think they've done a fantastic job of separating them to really make them stand apart from the Skywalker saga. I love that.
Mm-hmm. And they've done a great job with the cadence because they started with sequel trilogy, so they put you forward in the timeline of the Skywalker stuff, and then they put you back in the familiar with Rogue One.
Yeah.
They give you, you know, fan service film. Then they put you forward again with 8, and they pull you back into fan service film with Solo.
Yeah.
So then we get 9, and then we're probably going to get Kenobi after that, which is going to be more fan service.
Yep.
So, yeah, I love the cadence back and forth. Like, okay, you want new story? Well, we've got this line for you every other year. And then if you just want feel-good member berries, then here's the other.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job with the casting.
I agree.
You know, a year ago or whatever it was when we first saw that Woody Harrelson put a picture up that he was going to be in a new Star Wars movie, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like
I remember us talking about that.
He can't be in Star Wars. It makes no sense.
Yep.
He was great. And Emilia Clarke was amazing. Kiara was a great character.
I agree.
I loved her character.
Yep.
It's like they're nailing this casting, dude. And I can honestly say that now that we've seen the movie, how scared I was about a dude being Han Solo, and it's just like I see it now. Like it did not take long to go, okay, that's Han.
Yeah,
I got it. I get it now. It's not Harrison Ford, but it's Han.
Yeah, you want it to be close enough.
How great is it, by the way, that we live in this era now where, like, we saw Han Solo die, but now he is totally back alive. Like, they've got a character, they've got an actor who plays the role well. He signed on for multiple pictures.
Right.
So if they want to do more with Han Solo, like, we get more Han Solo. That's great. We got a young, healthy actor playing Chewbacca, so he's all in. Donald Glover loves doing Lando. Like, they can really pull from any era now, and they've got their casting lined up to do it.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
I agree.
Like,
that was one
of my favorite parts of the movie already was when he tried to slide the stupid car in between the things. It's just like you were saying, there's so many things that you know how this plays out.
Yeah.
That you know that he's going to make it all the way through and they're going to keep running. The way that thing just skidded to a stop and got stuck right at the end of it.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Just like, okay, that's funny.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. There's so many good things about this movie, and for me, the best part was I left feeling okay with Han Solo going forward. So it's like if
that's what I said right when we started. I'm like, how big of a sigh of relief did you have when those credits rolled?
Yeah, I was terrified because I never want there to be, and I'm sure it'll happen eventually, and I know for some people there are, but for me, there's no Star Wars movie that sucks. You know, the closest thing is The Force Awakens for me. And even that one, I still really like it.
It's because you can still just grab a hold of things. Like we talked
it's a
about
good
it before.
movie.
As much as you don't like Force Awakens, you're like Rey's an awesome character. So it's like you can you can pick and choose the things that you're like, yeah, this might suck, but yeah.
Yeah, and I totally understand why they had to do what they did. Because, like we talked about it in that one episode where it's like, is this changing JT's mind? Like,
Right.
I get it. But, out of this movie, I just wanted it to be a case where I was like, okay, I buy that guy's Han Solo so that now I can just watch a whole movie about Han Solo, like my favorite character of all time, and be really into it and leave knowing that if they make more movies about this character, I'm not going to be like, oh man, they're just, throwing more dirt on his grave.
And like you said, the second viewing is going to be so much better now that you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and just try to enjoy the movie instead of worrying that somewhere along the line they were going to ruin the
Crap the
character.
bed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was so happy that they did well with this, and it's just, I'm kind of in shock because, the talent it takes to write something like this to where you're not crapping on a character with that much legacy.
And he had his Harrison Ford moments too. The whole, like when in episode 7, when he was talking to Conja Club and all that, and he's like, oh, name the second time. He's just that smart ass thing. Like in this one, he's like, yeah, there's 30 guys in that ship over there. And then the ship takes off. He just slowly backs up. He's like, oh, go
do your thing.
Go do what you were going to do.
Right.
It's like he pulled off those little Harrison Ford Han Solo cues just well enough that it really worked. And
yep. It feels like a younger version of the guy we know.
Yeah.
Like where you see the guy in this movie.
I almost feel bad about the fact that I thought he was going to ruin it. Yeah. Like it's almost like I owe the guy an apology, but
sorry, Alden Aaron.
But he's rich, so screw him still. So
right.
Forget it.
Yeah. You could totally see where 10 years would weather this character to the point where we get the guy we saw in episode 4.
Yeah, and you could almost see it in his face at some points too, where Beckett double crossed him and he was still okay, but then when Kiera was taken off on the ship, you could kind of see it, and you're like, hey, he's starting to slowly turn into that Han that we know. He's not there.
Yeah,
he's like, but he's slowly getting his way there.
Yep. Yeah, overall, I'm just
because he still seemed too happy right before the credits, which is just Han was. He was just arrogant, but he wasn't that happy in episode 4. Exactly. So it's like that's again, the whole thing with Kiera and Maul and how happy Han was. It's like there's clearly going to be a second Solo movie before this thing's all said and done. You're like, that's where they're really going to break him down and turn him into the Han we know.
Yeah, exactly. I was glad that they didn't just go, they didn't try and mimic Harrison Ford the whole way. And then you're like, well, but this is 10 years before we meet him. So what? He's just, he's just that guy all the time. It's like I always talk about.
He's just an angry old man for 10 years.
Yeah, he's just like a crusty bastard. It's like, dude, you're like 22 or something. Like, stop it. Like, I was glad they didn't do that. And, it's like I said, I just the way they're writing this stuff is just so great. And I think Star Wars is in such phenomenal hands. And I all the people that are hating on, The Last Jedi and the whole, people boycotting Solo because they're mad about The Last Jedi. It's like, shut up. It's like you're missing out on some really great stuff. And Star Wars is in really good hands. It's going forward in original, well thought out ways that are really entertaining. And it's taking Star Wars in new directions, and it's not beating the old stuff into the ground. And I love that. They have some fantastic writers, that are doing this. And, with this movie, you could tell that Lawrence Kasdan had a hand in this.
Oh yeah, this was his baby.
Yeah, and when he said at the red carpet premiere, that I was watching, and he said, this is like the Star Wars story I always really wanted to write, because I want to write Han Solo. It's like, it's my favorite character. And I think he knocked it out of the park. And maybe it's easier for him because, you know, he's been around the character and he you know, really had a big hand in creating the Han that we all know, because, you know, Han really kind of comes into his own as a character in Empire. So maybe it was a little bit easier for him, but that doesn't mean that the actor can necessarily pull off what is in the script.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a fantastic story. I thought it was really cool how they did it. And it was just a great job portraying the character. And I had a total blast with it. I really did. And I'm excited to see it again. And I'm not, again, I'm just so glad it didn't suck. I just never want there to be a Star Wars movie that sucks, because I don't want to have to, because everyone just assumes, all my friends and everything, because I'm such a Star Wars nerd, that just because it's a movie that has the name Star Wars on it, I'm going to love it. And that's not the case. I mean, if they ever put out a crap movie, I'm going to be like, this movie sucks. And I don't ever want that to happen, because I like to watch all of them. And I like, especially when now that it's all tying into this bigger universe, I don't want to avoid any of the movies because I don't like it.
Right.
You know, it's like in the Marvel universe, I like most of them, but some of them I'll probably never watch again. The Hulk movie, Thor 2, probably Black Panther, like, you know, it's like, yeah, whatever. But, you know, Star Wars doesn't have that yet. And I was really afraid that Solo was going to be that movie. And it wasn't.
Yeah, it's like everyone's still waiting for that, for that flop, you know? They're like, well, they got to lay a turd eventually. But why go into a movie like that? Like, I turned that corner a few months back where I was like, you know what? They haven't done a bad one yet. We could probably just trust that even a mediocre Star Wars is still going to be a great movie and a bunch of fun. And this one was not mediocre. It was great in its own right, and it didn't try to be anything that it wasn't. I love that they were, you know, confident enough in the vision to be like, we're going to make this its own movie. We're not going to try to make sure that it lives up to, like, it doesn't feel like Rogue One or this or that. We're just going to tell our own story and let it have its own tone. And yet it still fits in to that whole, like, you know, larger tapestry that they're kind of weaving here. Which is great. So JT, I wanted to ask you, as, you know, the big Han Solo honk, how do you feel about the character now that you have more of these details in the backstory? Better, worse, the same?
Probably the same. I don't think there was anything that I didn't expect, because, I mean, we had 4 movies of him as a main character, so you kind of know who he is. And when you know you're getting the Kessel Run and how he gets the Millennium Falcon and how he meets Chewbacca, like, you know those things happen, so it's just a matter of finding out how. So, I don't think there was any way they were going to change the character for me anyway, because they're not here to change the character. They're just here to tell you how we got from, you know, how we got to point B. They're showing you point A.
They could have, like we talked about it before, they could have easily thrown that thing for a loop and made A to B a really crazy squiggly line, but
yeah,
they did a great job, like, with an awesome movie that in no way affected that character going forward into 4 through 7. So,
well, to me, there's only 2 things that could have happened. They could have either you leave the movie like I did, going, yeah, still love Han Solo, that's great. Or you leave completely furious because if you're a huge Han Solo fan and you don't like the movie, you think they completely your favorite character. I mean, that's the only 2 ways about it, because I don't think, since we already know who Han Solo is, I mean, what are they going to do to make him even cooler? I mean, I'm sure they could probably find something, but we already know who he is and what he is and what he does. So there's only a chance to kind of tarnish the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they didn't. So I walked out of it just super thankful that I can still love my favorite character.
Yeah, that was the biggest challenge of this thing, was they weren't going to, I don't think, well, I'm sure there are some people, especially newer fans, who, let's face it, there's enough years now where there is a large chunk of the fandom that the original trilogy is not their Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So as much as we love Han Solo, because that was our Star Wars as a kid, that's not everybody else's. They remember the old guy from Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So I was going to say that there's nothing you could do to improve or enhance the character of Han Solo, but really for some people you could. But even for older fans like us, where we didn't need any more explanation of Han Solo, the character, they did a fantastic job of like you said, not ruining the character is about the highest bar an original trilogy fan could set for this movie.
Exactly.
And they did. So it wasn't just, ooh, thank God they didn't screw that up. It was, thank God they didn't screw that up. And I had a great time, like, finding out more about the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I said, the way that it doesn't affect anything going forward, you can watch episode 4 and there's really nothing you saw in this movie tonight that you see Han and have to think back for.
One thing. He shot first at the end.
It was funny. We're on the way here and we went to see the movie with our cousin Chris, AJ and I, our cousin, and he called me on the way here, Steve, and he says, I have one thought about the movie. He says, I hope in 10 years they do a different cut of this movie and they show Beckett shooting first. I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean,
so then again, the fact that we know that there's going to end up being a second part to this, maybe there is some stuff that once you see both parts,
we don't
you can
know
watch. There's clearly going to be a second one.
They could, but they don't have to.
They don't have to.
That's very true, but at the same point, that would piss off so many people. You just got that.
Well, let's wait to see all the reviews and the money, and
it's going to make a ton of money.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to, but
you're not going to dangle that carrot in front of the horse, Darth Maul, and not give us this guy in a movie.
True. That's true. Here's Han Solo and Darth Maul. We're done. People are like, what?
And because think about the conversations that we'll have 5 years down the line, where it's like, well, whatever happened to Maul and Kiera, why didn't they ever do anything with that?
Yeah.
So it's,
right.
They have to.
By the way, that reminded me of something we were talking about Beckett shooting first. Another thing that I really, really thought was cool was when they have that showdown at the end with Beckett and with Han, and they're getting into the dialogue-y stuff, and he's like, and let me tell you the most important thing, and he just shoots him. Like, it's like what you always think in a movie when the bad guy is like staring down the barrel of a gun and he just goes into this monologue. You're like, why doesn't he just blow him away? And guess what Han Solo did? Exactly that. I was like, yes, like that's what Han Solo would do. Like, shut up. Like, that was cool, man.
And I still thought he was going to get the last line, though, because, they had the whole death scene where he didn't just die. He got to, like, talk a little bit.
Yeah, I thought for sure he was still going to spew out that.
The most important thing was to never eat candy without him.
It made me like the Deadpool death scene. Have you guys seen the new Deadpool?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yes.
It's not really a spoiler, but the death scene takes forever, and so it's like, yeah, it's hilarious. But, so yeah, I just they had those little things in there. That's a Han Solo thing to do. Like, instead of letting the guy just pontificate, he's like, he just shot him. Like, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was great. And but then they, when he went over there to talk to him, and he was all emotional that he killed this guy who kind of was his mentor. You could tell he was like kind of tore up about it, but he did what he had to do. So even in little moments like that, they got the character of Han Solo right. I mean, some people, I can see it now. They'll complain that Han was a little too emotional, a little too soft in this movie. I think I could see people making that assessment. But I mean, it's 10 years from when we see him in episode 4. So there's so many things that could happen. So we know he's got that emotional side to him. I mean, it's shown in, in the original trilogy and in episode 7. So having it in this movie didn't really bother me. I was like, okay, I get that.
But I like the descent that they put the character on, though, where he starts out totally idealistic and, loyal to a fault and everything. And then, like, he keeps having to make a series of choices, one after the other, that betray what he wants to do, but the necessity of the situation demands it. So he goes from, like, oh, I'll come back for you, to, well, I'm not coming back for you right now because I'm doing this other thing because I have to, but I'll get back to you, and so on and so on and so on, until finally at the end of the movie, he just ends up shooting somebody in cold blood. Like, he had the draw on him, could have just, like, held him there, but decided to shoot him instead.
Yeah.
Like, that was not the same thing that he would have done at the beginning of the movie. So they did a good job of, like, moving the character forward.
Right.
But like you said, not getting him all the way to New Hope.
Yeah.
By the time New Hope comes around, he's the guy that shoots first and he's like,
Which
whatever.
again furthers the fact that there's got to be another one.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've already known that he signed on for 3 movies. There's 2 friggin' movies. It could be the solo trilogy for all we friggin' know.
That's just Hollywood business, though. That's just smart on their part to. I mean, they signed on Felicity Jones for multiple films too. So
yeah,
they just lock you up for a few because in case it really takes off, then yes, they will write some sort of a script to explain why you're in a second movie, even if they didn't intend it.
Yeah,
and. If not, then they just don't exercise that option.
Yeah.
Well, Felicity Jones got signed in because she's going to be in the next solo movie.
Yeah. Right.
They're just going to bump paths, cross paths before all the crap goes down, and
they're going to bring the Rogue One crew back, and like Chirrut Imwe can actually see.
Right, Han Solo blinds Chirrut Imwe.
Exactly. They're just going to tie everything together. Yeah, Han Solo blinds Chirrut Imwe by accident, or like a Wookiee fart blinds him or something. Like he just Chewie rips ass with Chirrut Imwe's face right there, like they're on the steps, and he crop dusts them, and it's apparently Wookiee farts are so bad that it blinds people,
And apparently,
Saw Gerrera probably got caught in that blast as well. Then I guess,
right?
So he lost his legs.
Exactly. So,
and that's what turned the interior of the Falcon the way it is.
That's what he said. Yeah,
it's all Wookiee farts.
Yeah. Well,
blame it all on the Wookiee.
Well, on that note, why don't we close up shop? Because we're obviously going to do another episode once we've seen it a few more times, meaning AJ and I. Because Steve, you'll see it again when it comes out on Blu-ray, as you normally do.
Yeah, I will honestly try. I have to for Madison's sake. There's a lot of Chewbacca in this movie.
Yeah, you can't. If you don't take her, I'm going to be very disappointed in you because this is her movie.
Yeah,
this is the Chewbacca movie.
It's probably the closest we'll get because Lord knows it's not I know Disney has this stuff signed on for another 40 years and 100 movies, but something tells me we're not going to get the standard or the standalone Chewie movie.
No, I highly doubt that. So
it's just all subtitles.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic. It's like a foreign film,
right?
It's all artsy and stuff. But so we'll do another episode once we've seen it a few more times, and we're not just coming off the afterglow of seeing a new Star Wars movie, and once we've gotten all of the Easter eggs and plot points and everything. So
it'll be fun to talk about it once we know what the hell we're talking about instead of just having our minds blown by all that at once.
Exactly. So thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for a 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. Coming out a little bit later this year will be Thrawn Alliances. I'm really looking forward to that. So, good Star Wars book. Thanks to Galactic Empire for allowing us to use their music as our intro. That's very cool. Don't forget, you can find us at Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, CastBox, most Android podcast apps. You can find us on YouTube. All of our episodes are there, so go there, subscribe. You can interact with us on Twitter and Facebook. Our website is nerfherdercouncil.com. You can email us feedback@nerfherdercouncil.com. If you would like to leave us a voicemail, you can call 440-987-WARS. So, until next time, I had an absolute blast at Solo. I'm your host, JT at Dogtown Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will catch you next time.
Bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my nerf herder.
You my nerf herder.